members. It is with great honor that we've recognized two individuals for their great collaboration. Our first individual is Magdalena Cabrillo for going above and beyond her role at La Costa Adult School. Through her collaboration work and thoughtful planning, our open house became one of the most orientation, created a true sense of community, belonging, and welcoming in a safe environment for both students and their families. The other individual that we'd like to recognize is Lisette Bandana for her diligent work in empowering and supporting La Costa Adult School staff. Her efforts ensured that open house was not only meaningful, but also successful celebration for our whole community. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Item B, our student board members report. Maverick is not going to be able to be with us this evening. There is a football game tonight, so we're rooting for the Cougars. And his report will be available online. And Martin, he's absent. Okay. All right. Now to item C, La Costa Adult School presentation.
I'd like to have Mr. David Jones, the principal of La Costa Adult School, come on up to present to the board. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. So thank you for having me here tonight. So our theme for the school is lighting the way to your dreams. Every team needs a reason, something that grounds us. For us, that literally reason. But before I explain what that means, I want you to meet the people who live it out every day. We have Lisette here tonight, Maggie, and Sonia. And those not with us tonight, Claudia Frank, Claudia Marshall, Cecilia Pinto, Vicente Patino, Brenda De Jesus, Graham Westwood, and again, Sonia is here with us this evening. Reason is more than just letters. It's how we approach our work. We build relationships, we empower, we advocate, we show pathways, we open doors, and we never judge. The reason framework isn't just words, it's something we are already putting into practice. At our recent La Costa open house, we built relationships with future students and families over dinner and refreshments. We worked to empower them by laying out our vision for the year, and we began to show pathways through some of the exciting calendar events ahead. It was the perfect way to bring our values to life. And that's a photo from the recent open house event that we had. As we move forward, we've been our team, we identified some key priorities that will help us grow and strengthen La Costa. And the priorities are up there on the screen, but I'll go through them here. So some of our priorities are to grow enrollment through intentional outreach and engagement, strengthen placement systems so students start in the right classes from day one, build staff and program capacity while developing new partnerships and proposals for courses that reflect the needs of our community, hire a part-time counselor dedicated to helping students reach their goals, increase supports to boost attendance and completion, because it's not just about starting, it's about finishing strong. And we want to also establish a student advisory council, giving students a direct voice in shaping their experience at La Costa. At La Costa, we want to give our students more than just classes. We want them to give them a dream. I like acronyms, by the way. The dream, D is for diplomas and GED. R, real-life medical training, such as our senior home care aid program. E, English for Success. We have our K-12 program that's at Hatch in the mornings. Apprenticeship and trades training, modern technology training. This framework connects our programs directly to real-world opportunities. Some future courses that we hope to put into begin offering to our students is a Google Basics class, giving students those digital skills needed for everyday work and learning. Math for the trades, connecting practical math to direct career pathways, and hopefully pre-apprentice electrical foundations, preparing students to step into high-demand careers in the skilled trades. These new courses represent the next steps in expanding opportunity for our community. Our year-long plan is simple. We want to strengthen our foundation so our systems match our vision. Build partnerships and community, because we know we can do more together. Create pathways that lead students not just to classes, but to futures in college, career, and beyond. This is the work ahead of us, and it's the reason we show up each day. Thank you. And are there any questions?
I just want to say thank you. I know that there were a lot of role changes and you moved into this rather quickly this summer, and it seems like it's going very well. I love the REASON acronym, and it's I've had to be at Hatch a lot in the evenings due to soccer practice, being over there until Acuna opens, and classes seem full and busy, and it's just exciting to see. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your students. Obviously your population is different than some of the other schools. Can you give us a sense of who your students are? What their situation is? Yeah.
So a variety of our students, right now we have students learning, they want to learn English, so they can obviously open up some doors for them. Mm-hmm. We have students wanting to get their diploma through, and we have students preparing to take the HiSET and then also get their GED. And then right now, our enrollment closes on the 30th of this month, so it's growing, and we have a lot of I think we are averaging right now, I think we have I would say 10 to 12 in each of our ESL classes, and we're offering 4 levels currently.
Got it. And what are the age ranges of your students?
I don't have that information, but most of them are, we don't have that information yet, so. But I would say they're all adults, and they're working adults. They're coming from work. Some are parents that stay at home, and they come in the evenings, and so they want to learn English. So,
okay.
Thank you. Can I ask if there's any teachers here, if they could stand up, just to get a visual and kind of acknowledge you? Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all the work that you do. I've gone to all your graduations. I have even had family who go to your classes to learn English and the citizenship courses and all those great things. Your graduations are amazing because you have the non-traditional graduates from Pilarcitos, the Coyotes, and then you have, community members, parents who have kids in our district who they got their GED just because they wanted to inspire their own students. And the young lady who had been trying to get her high set for, I want to say, over 30 years. So that was just an amazing story, and it just is a testament of all the great work that you do with everybody, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. I know that sometimes because you guys are so low, like the unseen heroes, but you guys do an amazing job with all the community members and all the students who just need something else and something extra and something that is dedicated to them, and you guys have always done such a great job, so thank you so much. Thank you.
Dave, I just want to say thank you to you. I know Drew's here. Drew is the former director that oversaw the program. He did a great job, and you picked up the pace and have run with it in a great way. I do want to acknowledge the staff members that are there. It's the grit, the resiliency, and the empathy that we show to our adults like we do with our kids. So thank you once again, and David, thank you for the presentation.
Thank you again. Yeah.
All right, our next item is number 3, general business. Item A, public hearing and adoption of Resolution 26-2025 regarding sufficiency of instructional materials for the 25-26 school year. This is an action item.
Thank you. California Education Code 60119 requires that every student, including English learners, must have access to a standards-aligned textbook or instructional materials for use in their class and at home. To meet this requirement, the governing board must hold a public hearing and formally confirm that these materials are available. Our district administration has carefully reviewed the textbook inventory and confirmed that all required core curriculum materials have been ordered. While some schools are still waiting on back-ordered items due to shipping delays, these materials are on their way. Once deliveries are complete, every student will have the necessary textbooks and instructional materials, ensuring compliance with Education Code 60119. Thank you.
This is also a public hearing. Carmen, can you open the hearing?
I'm going to open the hearing.
And we have no request to comment.
All right, no requests. So shall I close the hearing? All right, closing the hearing. All right, that takes us to item 3B.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No comments or questions? No? Okay, then we're ready to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0. Sorry,
Oh, no worries. No,
Hold on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
we didn't request a motion in a second.
All right. I'll motion.
And I'll second.
Do the vote again. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
All right. That takes us to item 3B, approval of the unaudited actuals 2024-2025.
The 2024-25 unaudited actuals, which provide a statement of the district's receipts and expenditures in compliance with Education Code 42100, are being presented to the board for their approval. Upon approval, the report will be submitted to the San Mateo County Office of Education by September 15th, 2025, and subsequently forwarded to the California Department of Education. Here to present tonight is Jennifer Marsh, our Chief Business Officer.
Good evening. So tonight I am presenting the 2024-25 unaudited actuals. Rosie, can you help me? Thanks. So this is our overview of the evening, what we will review. It's all there. I don't need to read this, but you can see what we're going to quickly go over here. The next slide, please. Our budget timeline. So we are at the September 15th unaudited actuals. Our next report is presented to the board. That will be 2025-26 first interim report at the December meeting. And that will provide an updated financial picture as of October 31st of this fiscal year. Next slide. The unaudited actuals report provides the district's final accounting of revenues, expenditures, and fund balances for the fiscal year ending June 30th. It confirms our year-end position, explains any variances from projections, and establishes the beginning balances for the new fiscal year, pending completion of the independent audit. The numbers shown in the financial reports represent a snapshot in time, which is June 30th, 2025. And compared to the estimated actuals presented during the budget adoption process in May, the unaudited actuals often differ. Common reasons for this variance include revenues higher or lower than anticipated, expenditure allocations or budgets were under or overspent, or expenditures planned for 1 year are deferred to a future fiscal year. This chart shows the enrollment and average daily attendance for 24-25 and prior years, and the district continues to experience declining enrollment. Enrollment is the total number of students registered in our schools. In ADA, average daily attendance, is the average number of students actually attending each day. In 24-25, our ADA was 92%. Ideally, districts want to be above 95%. The enrollment and ADA are at the heart of how California's local control funding formula and overall school funding work. So this is a comparison of estimated actuals to unaudited actuals and the variances. And these are the unrestricted general fund revenue only on this slide. The district remained community funded in 24-25, but projected property taxes came in $448,000 lower at year end. Other state revenue increased by $57,000 due to an increase in lottery. Additional local revenue totaling $450,000 helped to offset the shortfall in property taxes, and total revenues increased over estimated actuals by $60,000. And this is the expenditures for the general fund unrestricted only. Total expenditures increased by $314,000 over estimated actuals, resulting in a 1% variance. While salaries and benefits experienced an increase of $538,000, some offsets were achieved through a reduction in services and supplies. Additionally, indirect costs increased by maximizing opportunities to apply the approved rate to all eligible programs. These are some additional factors that affect expenditures. The one-time transfer in from Fund 40 of $3.5 million for fiscal stabilization. The transfer out to Fund 13 to support cafeteria fund of $300,000, and almost a $9.5 million contribution to restricted funds such as special ed, maintenance, transportation, and a few others. Next slide. The district ended the year with an unrestricted ending fund balance of $2.2 million, which represents a modest increase of $19,000 from the estimated actuals projection. Overall, revenues remained stable, while expenditures finalized slightly higher than anticipated, primarily due to year-end salary and benefit costs. This is a little more detail for the changes in the revenue and expenditures that were reviewed in the previous slides. So a little bit more information and some details here for you. And next. So the district remained community funded in 24-25. The actual property taxes exceeded LCFF funding by $2.9 million. And that's why we remain community funded. Property tax reports are provided by San Mateo County Office of Ed 3 times in the fiscal year. The P1 estimate is provided in November, P2 in April, and the annual in August of the following fiscal year. And although property taxes came in $448,000 lower than the P2 projection that was used at estimated actuals, they were still 7.1% higher than the prior year's collections. The staff will continue to exercise caution around projections and to project a conservative 2.5% to 3% annual growth for 25-26 and future years. Next. This is a summary of the total general fund, unrestricted and restricted, revenues and expenditures. The combined totals resulted in an increase in fund balance of $78,000 at year end and an ending fund balance of $7.6 million. Next. Okay. The combined ending fund balances in Fund 01 of $2.6 million and in Special Reserves Fund 17 of $3.5 million equal a 10.56% reserve for economic uncertainties. The balance in Fund 17 is the result of the one-time transfer from Fund 40 in the 24-25 fiscal year. And in the SACS coding structure, the fund code identifies a specific accounting fund where financial transactions are recorded. Each fund has a description that explains its purpose. These are the ending fund balances as of June 30th in each of these funds. Next. So these are some of our next steps. We had our first Budget Advisory Committee meeting of the year last night. We had a great turnout, 15 attendees, made up of certificated, classified staff, PTO members, and community members. And we reviewed the unaudited actuals along with some other information, but it was a really good meeting. Our next meeting is December 10th. The audit completion of these financial records will take place in November. And then in December, I will bring you the first interim report of the 25-26 fiscal year. We're going to focus on position control and actual staffing costs for the 25-26 year, do a new enrollment and ADA projection, and other operational costs. And at this time, staff recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the unaudited actuals as presented. Any questions?
Before we move to questions, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have some questions, but I want to start off with some comments. So I was at the Budget Advisory Board meeting last night, and one of the things that was brought up was how far we've come in a short amount of time. And you are a large reason for that, and I just want to publicly thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And, you know, sometimes I'm a broken record up here, but to me, one of our priorities is communicating to the community that we know what we're doing and that we're competent and that we're on the right track. And you quietly show that every day. And so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so some questions. Some of these will be clarifications of things that you've already shared, but I want to make sure that we get them out there and then we can unpack them a little bit and then we get them sort of on the record. So my understanding with the drop in the revenue, it looks scary, but the way to understand that essentially is in some ways it's a challenge of estimation. So can you talk a little bit about that, a little bit more about that, essentially like what the challenges districts have in guessing how much revenue they're going to get, and then, you know, what are some ways that we can look at going forward so that maybe we don't get as many surprises?
It is definitely one of the challenges of being community funded. We don't know how much money we're going to get, you know, so we get these 3 reports from the county And that's the best estimate that we are provided. But nothing is guaranteeing that people are going to pay their taxes and those are going to be collected. So this shortfall is most likely the outcome of delinquent taxes. And hopefully people pay their taxes and we collect a little bit more here in this fiscal year. You know, it's kind of something I'm learning also on and taking advice on how to project these. Historically, we've been conservative with a 2 to 2.5% annual growth. But this year was 7.1%. Last year, we were a little over 4%. I think the prior year was 7%. That actually came true. Yeah. So it's still better to be conservative and cautious, right, and continue on with somewhere between a 2 to 3% annual growth.
Right. If I may interject as well here, this is why it's really important for that reserve. Yeah. We talk about that reserve. Right, we're at 10 something, I think your board policy says 16%. Having that healthy reserve and then being conservative and having a stable roadmap of what the needs and the wants are. I want to do everything. Jennifer knows I want to do everything. Our maintenance and operations crew knows I want to do everything, but I can't. And they remind me, we got to live within our budget, right? But I want to remind the board that that reserve is our rainy day in case one year we're under, right? And so we don't know what the federal government's going to look like next year, but we're already hearing things, and so we need to be ready for those downturns in the economic cycles.
Okay. So I have a couple more. This is another sort of unpack for us question. There was a significant decrease in the services and the books, and then an increase in the capital outlay. Could you just drill down a little bit more for us to help us understand how to understand those numbers?
Sure.
Yep.
So you're referring to the increase in the restricted side of the general fund, and I think the best way to explain the decrease in the services and the books and supplies is that they're expenditures that are planned for 1 year, but they're deferred to a future year. We may get a grant that is for 3 or 4 years, and so those need to be spread out over 3 or 4 years. And the increase to capital outlay is our beautiful fields, the returfing project that we're working on. It is 50% funded by bond and 50% funded by Boys and Girls Club. The district is paying 100% of the invoices, and then we have to invoice Boys and Girls Club for reimbursement. So that has to get kind of parked somewhere until we get reimbursed, and it is on the restricted side.
Awesome. Yeah. Which brings me to the next question. Some people who are paying attention might wonder, why did we pay for the field out of the general fund? And that's the answer, is because we are essentially invoicing the Boys and Girls Club. Yes. That's why it's not bond funds.
That's correct. 50% for the high school baseball field is being funded out of bond, and the other 50% by our partner, Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome.
And let me remind the board, we passed, I don't know if it was a resolution, but last month or the month before, about the inter-fund ability to change funds back and forth, right? And keeping track of what that looks like. Not a shell game, but an opportunity for us to do things the right way so that we don't slow down for things as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Last question for me. Sort of the 10,000-foot view question. Your next report on the budget is in December. Can you give us sort of your professional opinion? We're on track. No concerns in your camp about any surprises in December?
So I've been focusing on 24-25 the last month or so. Yeah. But in the middle of August, I did do a quick check-in on where we were on track with 25-26 salaries and benefits. There's a lot of change this year in salaries and benefits. And we were on track or slightly below what we were budgeting.
Thank you very much. And then I guess lastly, you're going on vacation.
I am tomorrow
morning. I can't think of a person who deserves that more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question, and my question's regarding the your projected numbers for the attendance and enrollment. Previously, we had done an earlier study when Dr. McFetrich was here, and this guy came and he projected future, declining enrollment. How, I can't remember the numbers, I'm just curious, do you know how similar we are to the projections?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
have not looked at that.
I was just curious.
That study.
Because I don't even know where to get that information, but I think that I was curious to see if anybody knew how.
Yeah, I think
how
between
similar we
Israel
are.
or myself,
Yeah.
we can bring that for a
Yeah,
future.
that'd be interesting to see how
Yeah.
close we are to that study that was done. Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
yeah.
Can provide that in the Monday memo. Just give us a couple of weeks. Jen's going, well, she can do it on vacation, right?
No.
I'm teasing.
I just wanted to say thank you also. I normally have a lot of questions, but I was at the budget advisory meeting last night also, and so my questions were answered, and that meeting runs very well, and as has been said before during the meeting, the people who attend really care and get into the nitty-gritty of things, and you are able to answer and handle it so well. So thank you for all of this, and thank you for those meetings.
Thank you.
No more questions? Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
All right, that takes us to item C, adoption of Resolution 25, 2025, GAN limit for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Thank you. The GAN limit resolution requires annually under Proposition 4, 1979, establishes the district's compliance with state constitutional cap on the use of tax revenues. This resolution is prepared as part of the unaudited actuals process. It is a routine action that adopts the board's calculation and is presented for the board to approve and ensure compliance with state and constitutional requirements.
Can I have a motion, a second?
I'll motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right. Carmen? Aye. Lisette?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
And our student board members are absent, so this item passes 5-0.
All right, this takes us to item D, El Granada Phase 2 Project Consultant Selection for Special Inspections.
Roger here from Veneer Construction Management to talk about the three proposals he received. Roger?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. So tonight's resolution is for special inspection services for the El Granada Phase 2 project. I'm going to go back in time a little bit. In September of 2023, the September 14th board approved a pool of special inspection agencies. The way that we obtained that list of special inspectors was by sending out publicly advertising and sending out an RFQ, a request for qualifications for these vendors. We received them and then created a pool of 6 special inspection agencies. So with that pool, we reached out to our vendors and received notification that 4 were interested in bidding. We actually received 3 bids, and of the 3, we went with Consolidated Engineering Labs, and they were the lowest responsive bidder. They were also the lowest bidder, but we have used them on Fairlawn View, El Granada Phase 1, and now we're planning to use them for El Granada Phase 2. And just to clarify a little bit more on the Special Inspection Agency, they are hired as a third-party inspector to work for the district and inspect things like rebar, concrete, welding, just to make sure that the quality of the work is acceptable and passed. The prices ranged from $42,000 to $62,000. Our lowest responsive bid was for $42,159. And our recommendation is to proceed with consolidated engineering labs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Any questions?
All motion?
So moved.
Questions or comments? No? Are we ready to vote then? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Takes us to our next item, E, Measure K Bond Project Prioritization.
Good evening, Board President Daniels, members of the Board of Education, and Superintendent Miramontes. Thank you for this opportunity to come and talk to you a little bit about prioritization for our projects and our upcoming bond program. This is a important process.
Can you give me a second?
Oh,
I just need to let the board know that this presentation wasn't ready when we post the agenda. So it's not on the agenda, but we're making it accessible right now for you and also for the public. We will post this tomorrow.
good. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit tonight about the planning process. Some of the constraints that we have on our planning process, so that we're clear about that, those constraints being financial and statutory in nature, and what some of the ways are that we can look at our prioritization process and some inputs that we need from you in order to continue that process. This is a very important process because we want to be strategic in what we're doing and how we're implementing projects over at the high school. We want to make sure that we're using the bond funds as efficiently as possible. That is a responsibility that we have to our community who approved these. They need to know that we're being good stewards of those funds. And it helps make clear criteria when it comes to what you will eventually be giving us in terms of the priorities of the bond projects. So we can't just go out now that the bond has been approved and go to the county and say, please give us a check for $153 million. It's not how it works. We do have a cap with which we have to adhere to. And the legal limit is that if you are looking at your property tax bill, for every $100,000 of assessed value on whatever parcel that you are an owner of, the limit is $60 of an increase that you're going to see. If we took all the money at once, we would go way beyond $60. And so we need to have a schedule where we can do this in a phased process so that we're not going over that limit. To do that, we have bond financial advisors. These are a group of financial advisors that are very specialized in helping, in this particular case with Dale Scott and Company, that are very specialized in the sale of the bonds and helping us be strategic about when we're going to have access to cash, and to make sure that whenever possible, we can actually take advantage of cost saving opportunities for the taxpayers, and potentially, especially with fluctuations in the interest rates. Thank you. Fluctuations in the interest rates. That when we have an opportunity to save money for our voters, we want to definitely do that. So right now we have a rough schedule of issuances or sales of bonds. This was part of a presentation that you guys received back in February, I believe it was. And this is a starting point. When we first had the school bond passed, Dale Scott on our behalf went out and actually did the Series A sale. So right now, currently, in our bond coffers, we have $15 million that we're using to start this process, get things going. And then what do we have coming up in the future? Well, potentially we would have a series of bonds that could be issued in 2027, 2029, and 2030. Those are just rough numbers. As we dig into this process and we actually figure out what we need in terms of cash flow in order to execute on all of our different projects, that'll determine what those numbers ultimately are and what's best for what we need in order to do construction as fast as we can possibly get these projects going, knowing that we also have real world limitations. We can only do so much on the high school campus while students are on campus at a time. So that is all part of what we're considering when we're looking at these projects. So some of the projects that we know are of high need to the overall program are the following. We know that there are some needs for some campus-wide utility upgrades. If we do those types of upgrades in the front end, especially when it comes to things like electrical modernization, things like water and sewer, we know that as we bring new facilities online, we have the capacity to be able to support those buildings. That's going to be very important, especially in an older campus like Half Moon Bay High School, and one that is as significantly weathered, would be one way of putting it, just from where we live. The utilities take a beating. And especially when it comes to electrical, the electrical load for a classroom, especially a classroom that was built in the 1950s, is vastly different from what we need nowadays with students doing all the digital and online work that they're doing. Next, we have Building G. Building G is a new construction, and that is the building, for those who are watching at home, that is directly across from the giant multi-purpose room building that we have at the high school. And that's an important classroom, that's an important space, because while it does hold some sports medicine and training rooms, it holds our special education classrooms. And one of the things that is important above and beyond being financially responsible with everything is to be very responsible with our students. And so making sure that as we're going to, Cunha has certainly been feeling it as a result of the fields that we've got going on. It impacts students, and some students are going to be more impacted than others. And certainly we want to be very aware of what the impact of doing such a major modernization across the entire campus to our most sensitive student population, our special needs students. We have talked about the pool, and just to be clear, this is the cost of the pool per the facilities master plan. So this is not taking into account even the additional work that we, with our community partners, would be doing to expand that project to 2 pools. But this is another one that having a facility like this at the front end would greatly enhance the learning experience for the students at the school. And finally, we have Building A. Building A, as you remember from the facility master plan, is a 19,000 square foot building. The advantage to having a project such as this in the front end of our program is that we get 12 classrooms and 2 CTE labs out of that process. And what does that do? Well, it means that we've got a lot more classrooms that we're bringing online, and it means that something like the temporary classroom housing costs are going to be significantly less. I went a little out of order there. The infrastructure just for laying down a section of those classrooms it varies a lot. It depends on existing conditions and whatnot, but can be around $150,000 to set things up, set up the foundations, get those things in. But then we also have to pay rentals if that is what we're deciding to do in order to bring those classrooms and make sure that they're available. So by starting off with Building A, we can lessen those costs. And finally, we've got plenty of small projects that we can do, or projects that, while they might be a little bit larger, for example, the gymnasium modernization, because of the nature of the work that we would be doing, we could split that into smaller little projects and still address the needs of that particular building. And so what are the options that we're looking for input from you guys, your ideas? So to start off, we have option A. We could look at this from the perspective of, let's really go after our classroom capacity first. Let's build that classroom capacity up. Let's make sure that we reduce the need for rental classrooms and get those types of facilities online. As we had stated in previous presentations, we do have an issue at the high school with a lot of classrooms being 600 square feet when they really should be closer to 960 square feet. Option B, we could really focus on student services. How are we going to do this project and make sure that the needs of the students are really supported, making sure that our special education students have a permanent place to land sooner in this project than later, making sure that we get the pool and sports facilities upgraded first. Or there's lots of other options. You could say neither of these works, and we'd like for you to go back and look at different things. We could look at student safety issues. We could look at operational efficiency. We could do things in a hybrid sort of fashion. And so what we're really looking forward from you all as a part of a discussion amongst yourselves would be how would you like for us to address this issue? So I look forward to hearing your comments.
Thank you, Drew.
If I could just rephrase a couple of things here. I have spoken to Annie. I've walked the campus numerous times. Actually, I saw John today. I was helping out during lunchtime today with the staff there. But I've walked the campus numerous times, and there is no right or wrong way of doing this. Bottom line is we know it needs to be done, right? I walked the special ed classrooms yesterday because I want to see if we were to do the pool, although they're not in Building G currently, as part of the project, they will be part of Building G. And just thinking about how long the special education teacher and the students would be in a portable would be probably anywhere between 4 to 6, anywhere between 4 to 6 years, meaning we'd have to tear those down if we were to do. So they may be there a little bit longer than other students, right? Then I've walked classrooms and seen some really small classrooms as well, some 640, right? I want to make sure the board understands this. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Right? The main thing is we have to start somewhere, right? And my recommendation would be if we look at the neediest students first and put that, every student needs that support, right? But if we look at the neediest students first, we can do a couple of things at the same time, and hopefully move rather quickly with some of the smaller things, and then get some of the other things that are on the list there. We did not put everything out there. If you guys want us to put additional things out there, such as we keep bringing up the football. I'm thinking of football today because there's a football game today, but the booth, right? We didn't put that on there because it wasn't as high a priority. We know that classrooms are a high priority, and that includes the swimming pool, right? We know that places where students can congregate. I was out there at lunchtime today. It was great seeing little pockets of kids, but the day was beautiful, right? So you could go outside and it wouldn't be a problem. So again, I just want to reemphasize there's no right or wrong way. My recommendation, I'm just going to be straight out, would be Building G, the pool, and shortly thereafter, and maybe some smaller projects as we talked about some of these things that we can do, and then ask for the big dollars that come in. We look at doing Building A immediately afterwards. Andy does, Mr. Boyson did tell me that there are some empty classrooms on campus, so he really has to go back and give us a better inventory to see how we might be able to move teachers here and there. I don't like paying for temporary housing for long periods of time. I don't like that. I think it's a waste of money, but it's something we have to do. Thank you.
Before we move to the discussion, we have one public comment.
We got a public comment. Liesel. Thank you, Drew.
Hello, my name is Liesel Tanner. I'm here representing Friends of Half Moon Bay Park and Rec, but I'm also a lifelong Half Moon Bay resident, business owner here on the coast, and mother of 7. Even though I grew up here, I went to San Mateo High School because at the time, our high school pool was not open year-round. There was no swim team. I swam for San Mateo, where we won CCS. I swam for the University of Arizona, where we broke the American record in the 200 free relay. We won NCAAs multiple times, and then went on to swim professionally on the national team. Swimming is a life skill that all people need access to. Water safety and swim lessons are my life. I want to commend and thank this board, Dr. Miramanis, Jennifer Marsh, and Drew Gammett, for prioritizing the build of a new aquatic center at the high school. Your work will finally bring to fruition something that's been needed and talked about on the coast for the last 25 years and mentioned, yet passed over in the last 3 bond measures. This aquatic classroom will be able to reach and service all Cabrillo students. These pools will bring access to our low-income population, special needs students, elementary and middle school children, as well as our high school physical education classes and after-school swimming and water polo teams, bringing equity and access to all our Cabrillo students. And after hearing about La Costa Adult School, my brain is going about how I can get all the adult learners into swim lessons as well, because we have a lot of those at La Petite Baleine that I'm just praise them for their courage. So now I'm thinking about how a new pool can also reach our adult community members within Cabrillo. We are grateful to have been able to contribute to this project, funding and presenting the feasibility study to the board last month. We hope to partner with and help support these desperately needed pools. The legacy of this board and Dr. Miramanis, your passion for this aquatic classroom will help and support not only all CUSD students, but the whole Coastside community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Motion? Oh, no motion.
I want to say thank you, Liesel, because as a long time also community member and as a parent, I can contest to your dedication and your heart in helping children swim, and even children with no means to pay for regular courses. And I benefited from that, and I really want to thank you, because like you said, living in the coast, it's just it's not a luxury, and it's not a hobby. It's a necessity, and thank you. And I agree. I agree that there's a lot of kids who barely get a chance to get into that pool, but when they do, it's amazing, and they become children, and they just want to have fun. And a lot of our low income and a lot of the Latino community does not have that access. And I just want to say thank you for advocating for that. And the students, also the adults, I think it's very important. I mean, I would sign up my mom if that happens, because it's just living near the water and being a coastsider. It's a necessity. It's not a privilege. It's definitely a necessity. And I think that was, I was going to say something else, but I got. Yeah. I was going to say something, but
I believe I'm leaning towards B with the student services. So it would be a combination of building G and the pool. I am looking at the other small projects that we can include, because that's about, let's say, 30,000 plus, okay, 33,000, and I think between the 2 years, that's 61,000. So there's some other room to move with. Like the gymnasium, okay, if you're a sports fan, don't kill me, I want it redone too, but I'm thinking like the library modernization. I know that some high school, what I've heard is that the library isn't really like as used as much as, I don't even know how used it is here, let's say at elementary school, but they, okay, so there's A. So I think it's B, C, D, like there's light modernizations in those buildings. So not necessarily the library, but if we could get those classrooms. K, I know if the electrical, I'm hoping that means that some of those classrooms that we're not knocking down, we can get a few outlets in them versus the one that they're dealing with right now. But B, with knowing that we're gonna have some modernization happening at the same time is where I am leaning.
I just want to say that I don't really have an opinion on this because this is the first time I've seen this. And usually I would see it and ask some questions and see where people are coming from. And really, I don't think it's my decision. I really think this should be the teachers and the people at the high school working with you. And they're really the ones on the ground who knows what's going on with the students and stuff. So I really think that, you know, I'm happy to get input from those people, but being the first time I've seen it, I'm just not prepared to make any kind of recommendation on it. And really, I think, you know, and I know you are talking to them, but I really want to push, you know, just say that I think that they're the really important ones that really understand what's going on there.
And this is just for discussion. We're not prioritizing. We're giving you,
Right.
we're providing
I know,
options.
but he is asking, you know, which one
Yeah.
you want, but
Yeah.
I'm just not ready. I'm not there.
Thank you for the information. A couple things. First, for future discussions, because I'm assuming this is going to be a year-long process where we have these kind of discussions. Would it be possible to get a map that we could have up as we have the discussion so we could see sort of physically what we're talking about? And
Sure.
That would be great. Awesome. I want to second what Mary Beth is saying. I don't have a strong preference. You know, I guess my thought is Dr. Miramontes' recommendation makes sense to me, but I would be interested in getting some more information. I'd like to know what the union preference is. And then, is there a cost difference between, I mean, I understand the concept of what you're saying. We're going to do this in phases, and this is the pool of money we have right now, and here's what we can do. But is there, in terms of the overall project, is there a cost difference between if we do this first, we could save money here? You know, one of the factors, for example, would be temporary classrooms. If we have to rent those longer, that's obviously more money. Are there other things like that that we should be thinking about or that we should be aware of to factor into the decision?
I think the biggest one that you would have to that you'd want to consider is if thinking back to the facilities master plan where they gave kind of a year-over-year increase of what the projects cost because of escalating costs. That's something definitely to be aware of.
So then one way to think about that would be like the bigger, more complicated projects, we might want to think about doing those earlier because then you're buying more those supplies and then they would not be more expensive later or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except for I would because they all kind of braid together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because doing that as well as making sure that when we are drawing from the bond and we are doing those sales, that we've scheduled our expenditures in such a way that we're never in a position where we have a lot of money that is sitting in a fund that is earning interest, but there is a cap on that. So what they don't want to see us doing would be to take money out of the bond and put us in a position where we would either be not earning as much interest on the money that's sitting in the account, and so then we're actually losing the value of that dollar, or the reverse, where maybe we put it in a fund and we're earning interest at a greater rate than what the interest rate is that the homeowners are paying through their property taxes, and both of those things are bad.
Gotcha.
And in the case on where it would be going the other way, where we would be getting more money, we would actually have to pay a rebate back on that, because you're not allowed to use this as some sort of a slush fund where you're just generating interest for the school district. If we're going to take it, we need to have a plan, and we need to make sure that we're using it.
So I guess my request would be is if there is a way to do some sort of cost analysis in terms of things like rent on temporary classroom buildings and sort of unpacking the dynamic that you're talking about, I would be interested in that.
Okay.
And then hearing from the union what their preference is. At this time, I actually have one other question. For the two options that are sort of the prepackaged options that we're looking at, is there any difference in terms of breaking ground on the pool? Like one option delay that, or?
So if we were doing classroom or building A, that is the largest single project that was identified in the facilities master plan. That would really be the only thing that we would be doing at that time.
Gotcha.
Now, that being said, it's not that we couldn't do anything. Obviously, the staggering piece of that means that we're doing the planning, we got our priorities, and then we're taking one project, we're going into design, we're going into buildability, construction, that's starting to ramp up. And as that's getting into the part of that process that requires the most amount of cash, we can then enter with the other ones into our planning stage, again, with less money. But then as this thing is finishing and we're getting done with the higher expenditure from the actual construction, then we're starting to engage with the other one, and then it goes into construction. Then we're using more of the cash. So it's kind of that dance of trying to get those projects to move that way.
So that, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to wrap up a thought. That would be a consideration for me, because I want to be careful how I word this. It's not that the pool is the most important thing, in my opinion, the classrooms are, but the pool is a priority.
Sure.
And it's a priority that it's a shovel-ready project. So I would just want to be careful that we didn't pick a path that delayed the school and then put other funding at risk because it wasn't shovel-ready. That's all. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want to remind the board that we had input from our teachers. I think Brianna sat on that committee. And we use the input from the teachers for the facility master plan, right, and those prioritizations. And it really, my thing is I put it on discussion for the night, two options, really looking at this. If we need to have a little bit more discussion on what the board is asking, we can do a special study session prior to the next board meeting. Okay. But the longer we delay, in my experience in just redoing 8 schools, in my previous district, is that you can estimate what you think things are going to cost, but there was a time when steel was super expensive from one year to the following year, and you can't predict some of those things, right? I know that the faster we get moving on what we need on the coast side with contractors and et cetera, it's hard to get here, right? And I think we've seen that with El Granada. I think we've seen that with Fairlawn View. Things get stretched out a little bit longer than they need to. So, I really encourage the board to, if they'd like to have a special study, or if we think we can put it on the agenda for the next one and get consensus on moving forward, then we can at least start the design piece and all the things that we need to do to make sure it happens within the next year to 16 months. Otherwise, we're going to delay it, and it's going to be the same thing I've heard in a small town that we pass these bonds and we never see anything moving for a long time, right? Not that I want to go fast, but I think we had great input sessions. I think I attended 2 great input sessions from the architects, and we took that in. We had small task force or focus groups of students. They provided input as well. And again, there's no wrong or right thing to do, right? As long as we focus on moving forward is what I'm going to try and push you guys to do.
So in terms of that, I guess it's not that I need an in-depth report on some of these, the cost impact of some of these options, but to get a general sense of what it is, I think that would be important. And so, I hear what you're saying, that we want to be nimble and move, but we also want to make wise decisions. Thank you.
I just want to say that, like, my opinion is coming from going to the high school meetings with the teachers, Mr. Boysen, the architects, and one overarching thing from those meetings is the groups of teachers are prioritizing what they're teaching. Not selfishly, it's just like, it's what they know, the science building, the PE, the math rooms, whatever. So I don't want to speak for either union, but I feel like it would be hard to get a consensus as to exactly what building would need to be done first, other than the K building doesn't need to be torn down. And that, for me, the pool is such a community part of this, and this is not going to be our last bond. So we will need them again, our community, in the future, and to show, like, even just the amount of comments I've heard about Cunha Field and how everyone is excited for it to be ready and they can see it. We know our dollars are being put to work. I also, coming from an El Granada elementary perspective, our SDCs, special day class, that classroom is trying to be in their room because of all of the special needs that they need. So that building, like, they're making it the most efficient without moving that classroom, because then you have to have classrooms that temporary classrooms, you have to have larger ones and ones that have more expensive because they have more things attached to them, making those transitions. So having our sped classrooms done and not have to spend the most on those temporary classrooms also seems efficient to me. So I also saw this plan with Dr. Miramontes when we met on Tuesday. So I've had time to think about this. I don't want to rush into it. I want our bond dollars to be spent wisely, but I know coming on this board, one of my priorities was to have it moving, but also be able to ensure that what we're committing to, and that's the high school, is going to get done and nothing else is going to be put in its way. So for me, the more that we push off, and that's not to say 1 month, I don't know what 1 month would do, but I don't want to push this too much, because then things keep popping up and we start spending the money elsewhere. And I really like the plan of what we have been brought.
I got a couple comments too, now that I'm thinking and learning more. One thing is, I think we need to not say the union at the high school. I think we need to say the staff, because it needs to be the administrators and everyone working there. So I think we should say staff. And then the other thing is, I try not to think in terms of what it looks like to the community, what the community thinks when they see us doing this, because my job is not to please the community. My job is to teach kids. And so the longer I think, I'm sitting here and I'm like, our core thing is academics, right? And we want sports because we want to keep them engaged. But option A with all those classrooms looks pretty good too, because, our core mission is academics for our kids. And that's really an academic. If we could do that and get the shovel in the ground on the pool somehow, I don't know. So that's my comment on that. I'm really, I'm trying to do what's best for kids, and looking at that 14 classrooms and not worrying about what people think or what they think is going on. We need to do what's best for kids.
Thank you. Again, this is a great, healthy discussion. All the points are well taken. They are currently in classrooms right now. I will say, I'm going to go back to the Cunha thing. I had a gentleman that came into my office from the Boys and Girls Club, and he said, "You're the fourth superintendent that I've spoken to in less than a year or 6 months." He said, "I want to help the district. but you're the fourth guy, right? Fourth superintendent, not guy. You're the fourth superintendent. I'm willing to donate half. And I said, well, I'll take half, but I have a Honda car, you may have a Mercedes car. The half is not the same. And he said, if there's a difference, we can take care of it for you, right? But I want it done. As soon as he said that he was committed to doing that, right? I went and ran to Jennifer and I said, we got to get this thing rolling. The community has to see us taking action when things like this happen. I met with Supervisor Mueller last week, and I want to thank Mary Beth for connecting them to me, right? Supervisor Mueller and I had a great conversation. He too is committed to helping. He just wants to know what the ask is, right? For a pool, right? And so there are others out there right now that are willing to make that commitment. Again, there are 10 different ways we can go here, guys. Right now, I would say the classrooms are important. And I think the pool's a classroom as well, the gymnasium's a classroom as well, the CT classrooms are classrooms as well. So again, there's 10 different ways. The thing is we are gonna have to go after another bond because we haven't touched the kitchen. We haven't prioritized the kitchen area, and I was there today, and it's not the most efficient way to attract kids to come in and eat healthy foods. It's just not, right, what I saw today. And so we gotta deal with that as well as we keep moving forward with the design phase. But I am gonna ask this board, we can continue to discuss tonight, or do we wanna put it on the agenda for the following month and then have a special study session before? I mean, I'm okay. I'm not missing a football game. I'm getting updates from the administrative staff there. But my point is I don't want you to beat yourselves up over one way or the other. The community has come and said, we believe in this school district. They passed the bond. Now it's our responsibility to say, how are we going to prioritize this moving forward? Knowing that we're going to have to go ask. I'll use the example that Dale Scott gave us yesterday. Dale Scott said, we had a superintendent of a large district that passed the bond. And the first thing he did when they passed that bond is he went to his maintenance and operations team and he said, paint every single school. Every single school painted. And maintenance operations said, we can't do that. This summer you will paint every single school. They painted every single school. They gave a little bit of lipstick to the front of the school community. And the community thought, wow, already things are happening, right? So I looked at Building G to be quick, nimble, and more importantly, the neediest population we have gets served first. At the same time, that pool parking lot is going to be a big thing for us so that we can move around the backside and do what we need to do with Building A. But at the same time, I want the flexibility from this board to be able to say, okay, we've said option A or B is first. Let us work through our staff. I believe in Drew, I believe in Jennifer, and when we hire the firms that work with us in prioritizing the next couple of things, gymnasium, library, additional classrooms, although if we do the additional classrooms, that's going to be more places. So again, I don't want you guys to beat yourselves up over this, but I think we do need to move forward at the next board meeting. So I'm just offering the opportunity to meet prior to the board meeting if we need more time.
I feel prepared to make a decision, but I would like to see the financials. But I don't feel like I need a lot more time to discuss. And yeah.
I really I'm leaning towards option B as well. Excited about the pool, getting that going. And I'm also really, if people want to have another study session, I'm happy to do that. I don't think I need one, but I'm happy to vote on it as soon as, as soon as.
Is this a vote?
No, not to now. Not, I'm talking about.
It's not a vote, but a consensus to have a special meeting. I just need 2 people. No?
Oh, for a special meeting?
So if we, the majority of us agree on a path forward, how is that official if we're not voting? Like, how does that work?
Do we change it to action item, or do we bring it back
We
for
can do
action?
two things. We can bring it back for an action item, right? And we can ask for a motion. If the motion doesn't have a second or wants to be changed, it can be done the way we do business all the time. Tonight, no. Tonight we won't ask.
So are you guys like stuck until we vote on this?
No, I was actually about to say.
Okay, I was like, I don't
you know,
think, I don't think we're there. But
Yeah, no. I mean, while we're doing this, we're also doing a couple other things on the other side. All the financial things that Pete is talking about, those are all things that are in process with me and Jennifer and Brett McFadden, who's also helping us with this process. Simultaneously, also, we do have a request for qualifications out that has gotten a lot of a really great response for architectural and engineering services. So we're going to have that also sorted out by the next board meeting on just having a pool of people that we could potentially work with on.
And some of these
projects.
things maybe might work themselves out. I mean, I feel like with El Granada, like it was like all this stuff, and then what are we going to part? But then as we got permits or this or design, like, oh, that's going to take longer than we thought. Oh, we can do that quicker. And then it just kind of fell into place that this is the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like we're maybe just not there yet.
No, and then
You know, because like
Yeah.
then as things happened, it just was like, yeah, well, it makes sense to do this, and so.
Yeah, no, I think the reason to have these kind of conversations is obviously we can't, you know, we have the Brown Act, and we can't, you know, and nor should we be talking behind closed doors on things like this. And sometimes we just need to have a discussion and kind of hear where
Great,
people
yeah,
are. And
good.
I mean,
have ideas
as
to
a
move forward.
quick sidebar, and I'm going to talk about this later in my board comments, but I encourage these discussions because there's a lot, I feel like I didn't have a full understanding of this before I got on the board. This is the only opportunity where the five of us can talk through things.
Yeah.
So these types of moments are really important, and we should have more of them. So.
Yeah.
The table is moving, and it's like changed, my train of thought keeps being thrown off. Okay, because I think we saw this on our board Monday minutes. The RFQs, do we have to go with the lowest bid?
No.
No.
So
Okay.
this is a different process.
Okay,
What we're doing is we're going out and we're saying, we know that we have projects coming. We know that they're going to require design and engineering and all those different pieces. But what we are going to do is we're going to take input. We're going to receive responses to our request for qualifications from qualified architectural firms. We'll go through a process of paper screening those. From that, then we will have a smaller group of firms that we would then interview. We'll do an interview of those firms in early October. And then from that, we'll have potentially a pool of architects that we know that as we're going through these different projects, we can call on one of them to support us in the actual designing of these individual projects. So we want to it's just as many things as we can have going on at the same time so that we avoid what you had said. We don't want to get stuck.
I just want to appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion with you guys, because it's important to hear everybody out. Where I stand right now is I'm leaning more towards option B, and I think there is a balance. I think Mary Beth is right. I'm also here because of the students, but there is also a balance because we are a community. So for our students to thrive, we also need to come together as a community and help each other. So I think that's very important as well. I do see the importance because I've seen the classrooms. They're the same ones that I was in many years ago. And so there is that need, but there's also caution because like Mary Beth said, you know, when things happen, it slowly like kind of works its way. And I'm just curious to see our projections in the declining enrollment. And you know, I think we do need classrooms. I mean, the classrooms that some of the teachers teach in are, you know, they're sad. They're very sad. But if you know, if I have my opinion right now, and not that it might, I'm not saying it won't change. I mean, as we're going through this process, like Dr. Miramontes and like you've mentioned, you know, we might think, okay, well, maybe that's not, you know, and be transparent about it and have these kind of discussions. But I feel like right now, special ed is one of those group of students, and I see them when I go and drop off my daughter, and it just, they look like they're not part of the campus. And I think that that's a disservice, because just like we do for Los Listos, where now we're incorporating kids with severe special needs into the classrooms, because it benefits not only the special needs students, but the regular students need to learn how to be tolerant and how to accept these kids. And it's just, it's a great opportunity to incorporate these kids on campus and to incorporate them as part of the high school and not their little separate little special ed little hub. So I'm right now leaning for that option, and then of course the pool, but that's where I stand.
All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to item 4, communications. Do we have public comments on any more comments?
No public
No
comments.
more comments? All right. It's time for item B, employee organizations report. Our Cabrillo Unified Teachers Association representative, Mr. John, thank you.
For starters, I was at a conference this weekend, and one of the cool things I saw a 6'8" speaker come in after a 5'2" speaker, and the podium actually had electronics where it went up and down depending on the speaker, and I was like, oh, I need that for Thursdays at the board meeting. Okay. In any event, comments today are brief. I want to express my appreciation. I know we've been in contact, the board members and Dr. Miramontes and I were trying to set up meeting times, and I flash back to, you know, this was probably 30 years ago, but we managed to get 5 people all to agree to go to the same movie. I feel like that I'm having a flashback to that and trying to meet with all of you, but I appreciate your flexibility and your willingness to sit down and talk about some of these things that come up. As I mentioned, I was at a conference, a CTA conference this past week, and one of the items that I would like to discuss with everybody is there's some amazing teacher retention ideas out there that I got to listen in on, and I got to meet with several different CTA presidents and got feedback on a number of issues. So, and then the last thing I would like to do, since it's 9/11, I would like to just kind of reiterate, you know, when the event actually happened, the teachers did everything that teachers do. It was on magnificent display on that day. What happened with younger kids, sometimes they needed the emotional support that teachers provide. Sometimes they need that feeling of normalcy that teachers provide. For the older kids, you know, some of us at the high school, we felt it was really important to keep kids informed and keep kids educated as to what was going on. So, you know, my memories of 9/11, of course, with the tragedy, and, you know, I have a brother that's a fireman, so I have the connection to the firefighters and so on. But my memories of 9/11 is really the way that teachers came through for the community, and how much support and just kind of just helping the kids through a very difficult day for the entire country. So, thank you.
Thank you. We have a California School Employee Association representative. Hello.
I'm not as tall as Mr. Curry, but not quite as short as 5'2". Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to say, as we embark on a new school year, We look forward to fostering a collaborative relationship and mutually respectful relationship with the district. Together, we aim to ensure a safe, clean, and educational environment for all our students. We look forward to a wonderful school year. Thanks.
Thank you. This brings us to item 5, the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are of a routine nature and are not anticipated for board discussion. The superintendent recommends their approval. If any board member requests the removal of an item from the consent agenda, it shall be taken off and individually considered as a regular agenda item. The consent agenda requires a motion, a second, and approval by a roll call vote. Each item approved by the governing board on the consent agenda is considered in full and adopted as recommended.
All right. We need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Pete. Carmen?
Aye.
Lisette?
Aye.
Pete?
Aye.
Brianna?
Aye.
Mary Beth?
Aye.
And our student board members are absent. This item passes 5-0.
All right, this takes us to the next item, 6, governing board reports. We have some board member reports tonight, or do we? Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll go. First, I also want to acknowledge September 11th. Today is my sister's birthday, so when I wake up, I normally think of it as September 11th, and it always takes me a little bit to realize 9/11. I was in my 3rd week of college away from my family. And I will say the teachers at our university did not handle it the same as my sisters who were in high school. And in that same breath, there was another school shooting yesterday. And I just constantly think about what our staff, all of our staff who are on campuses, have to think about and learn about daily. That is daily. I think about all of you and being on campuses, and I just thank everyone always for what they are doing. I was trying to go through our board policies, and so just so you all know, there are hundreds. There are just so many, and I'm still trying to figure out how to read them. But I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable with having board policies that really supported all of our students, and that how students, who they were, was not negated by anything that we had agreed upon, and that we support our teachers and staff in allowing our children to be who they are while in school. And I'm proud of the work that has been done before me with these board policies. Again, I haven't read them all. I am just, the ones that I have read are very inclusive. I'm sure there's more growth to be done, but we in this district are growing from a good spot, and not one that we're having to, in my opinion, try and get out of. On a board person's perspective, at the end of last month, I went to the funding task force meeting for the San Mateo, with the San Mateo County Office of Education, where board members in San Mateo County, we are trying to work on and discuss ways that us as a county can receive better funding. And there were 3 bullet points that they're really focusing on, and we will continue to discuss that with hopes that in January, when the legislature gets back together, that we can all support our legislative members in pushing an idea forward that would help all of us poorly funded districts in the future. And so I will have more. We were supposed to be sent to the verbiage of what we were trying to move forward with, but I was never sent it, so I'm still working on that. But I think it's very exciting, like to have been in a room with 10 other districts who feel the same way and want the same thing for all of our students, and to help them. So that was fun. And then on Tuesday night, I went to the high school parent meeting of Project Reboot, which I'm very passionate about cell phones on campuses. And it like is just something that bothers me. And I have 5th and 7th grader, so I'm not as into it as someone who has children who have, neither of my kids have cell phones right now. And Project Reboot is done by Dino Ambrosia, who is a Half Moon Bay High graduate from, I think he said 2017. And he realized that he had an addiction to technology. And I think that might sound harsh, but if you think about it, I think many of us might also. And it's, like you feel uncomfortable, whatever that means, in a situation, and I'm just going to look at something on my phone to kind of get out of that headspace. And then how over the past 10 years, the way that these apps have gotten you to stay there for longer and longer. And so I highly recommend, he has a TED Talk called The Battle for Your Time, Exposing the Costs of Social Media. This young gentleman, I think he said he was 26, so he went to our high school. So he did 9th and 11th grade, I think Tuesday, and maybe the next day, 10th and 12th? No, today he did the 10th and 12th graders. And last week, teachers had texted me at the high school about the Welcome Back assembly and how kind of for the first time, I think maybe since cell phones have gotten so popular, the kids had to leave everything in their advisory room, and it was the most engaging assembly. Like, everyone was present, and I love that. And then listening to Dina Ambrosia, but one of the things that really just light bulbed me, because I was like, no cell phones on campus, I think we should have a stronger policy. And I had asked him about that. K through 8, absolutely, bell to bell, don't have cell phones. In high school, he said, we need to prepare them for real life, for post-high school. And they aren't gonna have anyone to tell them, you can't have this in between class or whatever. So instead of just stopping them from having it, creating an environment that helps them realize why they are going to it and how to socialize more one-on-one with people instead of just their phones. So I am so thankful to the high school PTO for being able to fund this. I am so thankful for everyone at the high school for allowing this to happen, and to Dino for being an amazing speaker on this and recommend it to everyone. So thanks, that's my update.
That was not part of my planned discussion tonight, but just to piggyback off of that, cell phones are a concern of mine as well. I think it's fair to say I'm a devotee. That's a strong word, but I think that's probably true. Of Jonathan Haidt, who's a social scientist from NYU, and one of the things he focuses on is the impact of cell phones on youth, and the research is very disturbing. And so I haven't prioritized it yet because early going, my priorities are teacher retention, teacher compensation, and transparency. But at some point, I do want to look at that and have a discussion about how is the district approaching cell phones, because I think it's worthwhile. What I want to focus on tonight is transparency. So I just want to say that this district has come a long way. The house is on fire a year ago, and it's not now, as we've discussed in many ways. And many people are responsible for turning around the ship. We have an excellent superintendent, and he's got an excellent staff, and we're moving in the right direction. But to me, this phase right now feels like a little bit like an umpire in the baseball game who's doing a great job. So when I first was elected, all the way through spring, kind of into May, I would get dozens of emails a week. People would come to my office hours at Cafe Society, and that has slowed considerably. And that's a great sign, because what it means is that people don't have a concern. The schools are not on their mind like they were a year ago. And so it's this idea that, like, an umpire who's doing a great job Nobody notices that he's there. Umpire who's not doing a good job, everyone's paying attention to that. So the thing I'm thinking about now, and I want to mention to the board and to the community, is that we don't want to stop our work with being more transparent and being more effective with that, because the house will be on fire again at some point. There will be an issue that comes up, something will be, there will be some sort of negative thing going on with the district. That's inevitable. And we need to be prepared. We need to make sure that the house is in order so that when that day comes and people show the attention back to the schools in the district, the website looks great. They can find the information. They know who works for the district. They have an understanding of the finances. They can get all the information that they choose to get. And so this is a critical time, even though it doesn't feel like there's pressure to continue the work. So having said that, I want to say to the board, I want to use this time to have discussions. I want to use this time to think about one of the tools we have at our disposal are resolutions. We should be thinking about that in terms of how we want to position the district in terms of transparency and how we communicate to people what information we share. I've had some conversations with Dr. Miramontes about this. And so over the coming months, hopefully we can have those conversations. And again, a year from now, hopefully we're in an even better spot and we can shift priorities or I could shift priorities to something else. Lastly, I would say, again, my girls go to Hatch. Hatch has been a school that struggled. And I just want to say, again, publicly, that the feeling at Hatch is a 180-degree difference. And I have to give the credit to the faculty and the administration at Hatch and the parent community. It's been a long road for that community, and it feels like we're moving in the right direction. And I want to thank Dr. Miramontes, who positioned Jeff to take on that leadership role. All those things have played a positive role. And I just know there's almost this feeling of relief in the Hatch community that things are not, again, there's not a crisis. And hopefully we can build on that. So thank you.
I just quiero primero, como dijo mi compañera, nada más hacernos reflexionar en la tragedia que pasó en Nueva York y todo lo que el mundo tuvo que pasar, y las familias que desafortunadamente siguen sufriendo y recordando a sus seres queridos. Les quiero dar la bienvenida a todos los papás y todos los alumnos para este año escolar. Y como siempre, la razón que yo estoy en esta mesa directiva y la que estoy aquí no es porque me gusta andar de acá para allá, aunque mi mamá diría que me tengo que aplacar a veces, pero la razón es porque soy mamá. Y soy mamá y como mamá he navegado con mi hija, he batallado en ciertas áreas y creo que podemos mejorar. Y desafortunadamente no mucha gente tiene el tiempo para dedicarle a esto. Yo estoy aquí pues un poquito más hasta ver hasta cuándo puedo, pero quiero nada más recordarles que es tan importante que aunque haya empezado el año, la importancia de abogar por sus hijos. Tienen que abogar por sus hijos y no esperar que lleguen las malas noticias que ya reprobaron una clase. No tienen que esperar a que les digan las malas noticias. Hay un programa que se llama Schoology y ese programa es una aplicación en el teléfono donde puede uno ver el progreso. Hay mucho trabajo que hacer en esa aplicación. En mi humilde opinión, no es exactamente lo que creo que hay muchas cosas que podemos mejorar, pero sí es un empiezo para familiarizarse cómo contactar y saber qué es lo que está pasando con tu estudiante, porque muchas veces por la falta de información, recursos, el idioma, muchas veces nos esperamos y ya es demasiado tarde. Yo les puedo decir que sentada aquí en esta mesa directiva, hasta ahora en día tengo que seguir abogando por mi hija. No no es que yo tenga ningún privilegio y yo acepto ese reto como mamá y como persona que quiere ver que las cosas mejoren también para otros, pero cada quien tiene que poner su granito de arena y cada quien tiene que involucrarse y empezar con sus hijos y empezar a ver si están faltando, qué son cómo van ahorita. O sea, yo entiendo que acaba de empezar, pero es súper, súper importante y quiero invitarlos a que pregunten, hagan preguntas y si están interesados, yo creo que sería una buena idea que tal vez hubiera más como entrenamiento para los que no saben cómo navegar esa aplicación de Schoology para ponerle en el teléfono, para saber cómo meterse en ella, porque yo sé inglés y tampoco no sabía. Muchas veces voy con Rosy y Rosy me salva, pero es bien importante porque definitivamente, en mi opinión, tiene que haber más prevención y podemos hacer mucho mejor en eso y es tan importante porque ya cuando es demasiado tarde es bien triste. Eso es lo que yo siempre quiero que tengan en cuenta. Por favor, aboguen, pregunten y infórmense. I just also wanted to, like my partner said, just reflect on 9/11 and all the people who, are still suffering because of the loss of their loved ones. And I wanted to welcome everybody, parents and students, for another, great school year, hopefully. It's and I just wanted to remind people, like, I'm here. My reason for being in this board is to advocate for students, and I think it's just so important for our parents and our community to know that we need to not only advocate but also inform ourselves and make sure that we know what's happening, because a lot of the times when we wait and it's too late, there's nothing that we could do. So I just wanted to invite the Latino community, if they need any help, like ask questions regarding the Schoology app. And I guess right now I'm speaking more as a parent, because Schoology, I don't believe it's in the middle schools or elementaries. It is? Okay, so I just want to advocate for people to be, more involved and being curious of what's going on and not waiting till the very end. Me personally, I think Schoology is a start. I think there are a lot of things that could improve, a lot of things that need to improve. And if hopefully I would like to see more, some way where there's more exposure, if it's not going to be translated, but more exposure and knowledge of how to use and how to download the app, because I speak decent English and I still struggle with these things. I'm not a techie person, so I always go to Rosie and Rosie always helps me. So I really appreciate that. And I just want to tell parents to advocate, get informed, and just ask questions and just really be involved and not wait till the very last minute. I think that's what I said. Did I say that? Okay.
My comments are inspired by Brianna's comments tonight. So I thought I was really interested when you said you're reading the policies. That's awesome. One thing I did want to tell you, in that committee that they're trying to get more funding for the poor schools, I have the draft policy and the bullet they picked, so remind me and I can pass that to you. So you were talking about board policies, and I thought maybe I would just talk a little bit about what our actual job is, because it is weird. Our job actually is to make policy. That's our, number one thing. And then our job is also to be the boss of the superintendent. And I found it very strange when I joined, because it was unlike any other job I had, because I don't work at the school district, So it's not like PTO or, you're the boss of someone where you go, hey, let's do this. And then you do it. You say, hey, let's do this. But you have to come to an agreement with 4 other people about what you do, because this poor man has 5 bosses. So it's not just one of us that have an agenda, but we all do. So our job is really writing policy, overseeing the superintendent, and then just kind of steering the ship in a big way. And a lot of people will come to me and they'll have some detailed question about something going on at their school, and and maybe I know about it just because I heard about it, but that's not my job. My job is to make sure he knows about it and that he's got his employees doing something about it. So I think one thing we with a new superintendent that we're all going to be working on is, his goals are basically the goals that we make as a board. So we're going to go through that soon, but since he's fairly new, we haven't really done that yet. So I think it's always nice to make that clear every once in a while. And I think all of us are pretty open to being contacted if people have questions or issues. But really, a lot of the time I say, you're coming to the wrong person. I don't work there. You need to go to him. It's very rare that someone would need to come to me. People have problems. I'm like, go to your principal, go to the superintendent. I'm kind of last resort. I'm happy to hear and talk, but our main job, we don't work there. We are the overseers. We're to make sure everything's going right and making policy, which we also need help from staff to do. It's not like we sit here and write it up and put it in. Like, we need staff to make the policy because they're getting the input from the other staff. They're looking at the state laws and doing all that stuff. So I think that's probably a big thing we'll be working on as a newer board with, board with newer members coming together to be one about what priorities we have and what we want to do going forward. So thanks, Brianna, for bringing up policies, because I like that part of being a board member. I love writing policy. And I'm not writing the policy, but I like the process of it. So anyway, I'm sure we'll be doing more than that in the future, but I thought I'd talk about that. Also, just want to thank everyone. I've been out and about, and our staff is working hard. Everyone's getting their job done and trying to make things better for our students, and that's why we're all here. So thanks a lot. My comments will be very brief. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, staff. Thank you for everybody being here and all your wonderful things you're sharing. And I'm going to hand it to Dr. Miramontes.
Thank you, governing board members. So I'm gonna pretend I'm Paul Revere. On October 7th, the Rotarians are coming. The Rotarians are coming. They're going to be the principal. John, I think you would appreciate that, right? They are. We're gonna go back and implement Principal for a Day. So we're gonna start this year off with our Rotarians coming to our school sites, standing side by side, helping us tell our story. We are gonna update. We are in the process of updating and redoing a whole new website. Day one, I saw it, and I give everybody credit. We're a small little district, and we have so many priorities, right? But we do have to do a better job of telling our story, and what we're going to be doing now. I look forward to providing our staff and supporting our staff with professional development in the area of Spanish immersion, mathematical frameworks, and AI. That's coming this upcoming month. School safety is always one of those things that we can't drop. We've got to keep our eyes open. Today I did spend some time on the high school campus. They were short a couple of people, so I volunteered and went up, and it was great. Your daughter came up and said hello to me, and it was just a great opportunity. I saw Maverick there, and he told me, "Hey, I'm going to be a football game day." That's when I found out that the football game had changed to today, not tomorrow. But it's after student learning. School safety is like the number one thing right there with student learning, right? So we are going to have, and I walked this campus with Victor, and he was telling Mr. Guzman, he was telling me about some of the cameras that aren't working, and we've walked out, we've seen some cameras that probably were here in 1980, while others have been updated. So we're going to look at a comprehensive, just to get an idea of what something might look like. And then as we build the high school out, we'll already have an idea of what we need to do on that campus as well. I do want to thank our veteran teachers. Ms. Bianca we're trying to look at home growing our own students, and we're looking for mentors across the district, and we had quite a few veteran teachers that want to step up and support our new teachers, which I think is fabulous. One of the things that I want to get in the mind of everybody is the district is not central office. The district is all of us, and how we talk about the district, the community will hear. Right? I know that last year when I was asked, would you consider going up? They need help. I saw the videos. It was not good, right, on YouTube. The district is all of us, and it starts with us. It starts with the governing board, and myself setting the tone. I've got a wonderful relationship with John. Lisa's been great, and I know Shane's been great, and CSEA's got a couple of members that step in when they need to step in. I believe Shane's on vacation, correct? Well-deserved vacation, right? But it starts with us. It starts with publicly, and I haven't heard yet about what are our board goals, right? The board has to have goals. If transparency is one of them, if it's communicating is one of them, that's fantastic. My thing is keeping kids safe and student accolades. In order to do that, we got to support our school principals, our school staff members, teachers, classified, because we always forget the classified staff. They're right there, side by side with our teachers. And then, our job, and you mentioned it, and you've mentioned it, Mary Beth, is creating and adopting and communicating board policy. And that's pretty much it, right? It all sounds so simple, but I want to get out of the habit of the district, right? I've worked with Jennifer. She's a fabulous person. With Josefina, fabulous person. Nobody here is here to hurt kids. Yes, it may appear that in the past, leadership, and I'll use the word leadership, not the district, leadership, right, have not done the right things in the past. Our managers, Mr. Boyson, Mr. Clinton, when I asked him, hey, I've talked about moving a principal. I can move principals how I need to move principals. Everybody thought it was going to be Aaron O'Connor Brown and Amy McVicker, but I had Jeff in my mind just in case, right? Jeff is a manager. He's done a fabulous job, just like all the other managers have, right? But we have to stop saying the district, because the community, when we need the community, they'll rally, right? They'll rally. But we set the tone. So I just want to leave it with that I appreciate working with all 5 of these people. They all have the right intentions, right? And I really do appreciate Rosie, my right-hand person, who keeps me accountable. And then Jennifer, as one of my cabinet members. And then just giving Mr. Castillo lots of credit. I mean, he's stepped into the role. He didn't ask for it. He wasn't saying, I want to be next. I said, I need to tap you. And he's coming through. He's coming through beyond my expectations. Well, I should say I knew he could do it, but he's coming through and meeting those expectations and really doing a great job. And then just lastly, there are so many different community members out there that still want to reach out and are still trying to partner with us, that we have to strengthen those pieces there. I am proud of our administrative team. Israel has coordinated a meeting with our Moonridge families. We're going to head out there, every single administrator from that feeds into the Moonridge community. I noticed the back to school nights, we did not have all of them there, right? So we're going to meet them there. And Norma Miramontes, no relationship, but a beautiful last name, is going to host us there. We're going to bring some pan dulces, some coffee, and we're going to have an opportunity for them to feel like they belong on our campuses, right? 'Cause I know that doesn't always happen. And so Rosie asked me, should we invite the board? We can invite the board. You're welcome to join us. We'll send you the information. We will have no business. You'll have no business there, but you're welcome to sit and connect with our families. I think it's really important that we make that effort, again, setting the tone, right, of what we need to do and who we need to serve, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to item 7, our closed session. We have a confidential student matter, the approval of permanent exemptions from physical education courses for Half Moon Bay High School 11th and 12th grades. And I don't think we have any public comments. All right. And then we are going to adjourn to our closed session. Thank you so much for being here.